Hey everybody, it's Sophie and Marco. And where do you think we've been? We've been working on the show Psych. Marco selected 13 episodes from the show Psych that relate to Halloween.
We were
And
supposed to do the Office Halloween episodes, and I watched all of them, unfortunately. And most of them had nothing to do with Halloween, or Halloween was like in the background and it wasn't important at all. So I felt like we should do a show that's able to actually do that concept better instead of review these crappy episodes.
okay, so we have selected 13 episodes to talk about and rank. So we're going to start with the 13th one. So go ahead, Marco. What is the 13th episode for you?
My 13th is A Nightmare on State Street.
Yep, season 8, episode 9. And the story was very simple. A client walks into Gus and Sean's office wanting to know if his wife is having an affair, possibly with another faculty member, a coach at the school where they work. The coach gets killed, the husband gets the blame, but it ends up being someone else. So that's it. A simple little story embedded into a great boulder full of horror movie homages. Okay.
Have you ever seen the scary movie movies? This is exactly what those are like. After like two or three, their idea of humor is they have like a room and there's like a bunch of different random people with costumes from movies that come out recently, like War of the Worlds, Saw, whatever those are. They have like and that's their idea of humor. Oh look, reference, 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 parody. Oh yeah, we're so funny because we're just copying movies but doing it in a less thoughtful way because they don't spend any money on these movies. That's what this was like. It was completely nonsensical why they would do these types of things. I mean, there was some good concepts, I guess. Like, I really liked Zombie Sean. I thought, if anything, you should have had Zombie Sean the whole episode, like, guiding Gus through it. And so I actually had an idea instead of this. And, oh yeah, and Bruce Campbell sucked in this episode too. The 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 therapist, the guy with the big, that was Bruce Campbell from the Evil Dead movies, and he sucked in this episode. So I had either one or two concepts. Number one is that Gus would not be Juliet, since she moved away, she would be the one having nightmares. Or no, yeah. And so, or no, wait, no. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up. Somebody randomly comes in the office and said, "I had a nightmare that that Juliet got killed." And so Sean gets really worried, and he has to dissect this person's nightmare to figure out if she's gonna get killed and how, so he can warn her or maybe solve the mystery and track the killer down. I think that would have been much cooler. Because here's the thing, Gus does not need to have nightmares. He already is scared of everything in normal life. He's scared of germs. He's scared of
Blood.
He's scared of white people. He's scared of dead bodies. He's scared of everything. He doesn't need to have nightmares too. And by the way, he doesn't even have a resolution of this. He just keeps having nightmares. There you go. That's a very good conclusion. So, sorry, I had a lot to say about that since it was so confusing and packed full of crap.
Okay, well, I ranked the episode the same, which is really weird because we didn't really talk about how we were going to rank these episodes. We worked separately. I thought it was totally confusing. And the reason why was because they put so many homages in there. I don't know all the horror movies.
That doesn't
I
matter.
recognized Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Night of the Living Dead. Those were pretty obvious. But the story, the main story, was so simple and it was like buried underneath all this stuff that I just didn't care for it, because if it wouldn't have been confusing, but it was. They went from one thing to the next to the next to the next, and then they go to the story, and then they go to more homages and more homages, and the story was so simple. It was like a little pink thread.
And by the way, we don't need to. What were you gonna say?
Well, it's just like a little
Little
pink
pink
thread
thread.
in a pile of big, thick, woolly yarn,
Oh, okay.
and so it didn't do anything for me. So
I was gonna say, the references are fine. I think it handles references a lot better than another episode that's on the list. And I just think it was just too much. And really, their case of seeing if a guy is cheating on, or no, a wife is cheating on her husband. I mean, who cares? We don't need to see them solve that case. Let's see them solve an exciting case. Or a case that resembles Nightmare on Elm Street, like with the Exorcist episode. So, what's your number 12, Safi?
my number 12 is 100 Clues, season 7, episode 5. It was made as a parody of the Clue game movie. Sean and Juliet get invited to a mansion for a dinner, but she can't go because of work. Sean instead invites his good buddy Gus. It turns out a few other people were invited too. An ex-groupie who starred in the original Clue movie, played by Leslie Ann Warren, an ex-rocker named Highway Harry, Christopher Lloyd, who had few lines and dressed in a suit, and Garrett Morris from Saturday Night Live plays Clisby the butler.
Well, that's not how you say it. Come on, say it like how they say
Clisby.
it. Clisby. You know, you have to really emphasize it.
Another rocker who was invited to the party is hiding somewhere in the house. The person who invited everyone to the party is rocker Billy Lips, who just got out of prison. He had killed groupie Melinda Gates, and all the people invited to dinner he felt were significant to his life. For instance, Sean had helped him get arrested. Clisby the butler finds the missing rocker, nicknamed Rip, or real name Albert Cemento, dead in the cooler, the walk-in cooler. Juliet and Lassie show up to investigate shots fired outside the mansion that neighbors had called the police.
I thought it was the vehicle.
I thought there were shots too.
Well, I thought the main reason was because there was a vehicle that was abandoned.
It was Gus's as well. It was, I think, both reasons, or the shots.
Yeah.
There were shots fired while they were there,
whatever.
maybe whatever. And so now it's time to figure out which guest at the party killed Rip. That's the story, basically.
What'd you think?
What I
about the episode.
I just talked about the episode.
Well, what
I
did
didn't
you
like
think
this
about it?
episode very much.
Why is it second
Because
to
I
last?
thought it was I didn't think it was that funny.
Oh, okay.
It was made as a parody of the Clue movie, but it just, I don't know, I didn't like it. I just thought it was,
I thought it was a failed execution,
I just didn't like it.
and the Christopher Lloyd and the people who were actually in the original Clue were very underused. You know, because you had the Twin Peaks episode, and the people from Twin Peaks in that episode are like the stars of the episode. Like Dana Ashbrook and Sherilyn Fenn. They're like the stars of that episode. And in this Clue episode, Christopher Lloyd just kind of stands there in the corner. And I thought there were a couple of jokes that were funny, but this episode was just really underwhelming. I didn't put it second to last because I really like Clue, and there's funny one or two funny moments. It's hard. It's really hard. It honestly could have been lower. So what's next for you, Safi?
All right.
Oh wait, no, I have to go next.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's your turn.
My number 12 is.
No, that. Oh yeah.
This
Okay.
is gonna piss everybody off. Tuesday the 17th. I watched this episode at first. I liked it. It was okay. And then I watched it again, and I fell asleep. I thought it was boring. I think that it's just kind of there to be a parody. And I don't really think it's that good of a story. I don't really like the characters. I think if you wanted to make a good parody, you should have had some of the people from the Friday the 13th movies. Or you should have had the girl who plays Angela in Sleepaway Camp and have it be really funny, like, oh, this is a Friday the 13th movie, but F all those people in those movies. This is Angela from Sleepaway Camp. That would have been funny. So, what did you think about it, Safi?
About Tuesday the 17th?
Yeah.
Well, I ranked it much higher.
Don't say
So we're not
ranked
on
it
that yet. Do you want me to say what the summary is, or wait till I get to it in my list?
Just wait.
Okay.
What's your next one?
My next one is, this would be number 11. It's Let's Get Harry. Sean and Gus's new client thinks he's a werewolf. Oh, I'm sorry. It's season 4, episode 8. Okay, Sean and Gus's new client thinks he is a werewolf. People and animals get killed, and it looks like he's the werewolf who killed them. However, like the other episodes, everything is not what it seems. There's not much comedy in this episode, more procedural than comedy, therefore not as funny as the other Halloween-like episodes. And basically that's all I have to say about it.
Well, funnily enough, I put Let's Get Harry at number 11.
Oh, wow.
And the reason why is because I thought it was an okay episode. If it was based on something that I really liked, like Clue, I would have put it higher than Clue. But since I don't like the Wolfman as much. I like the Wolfman as a character, but this episode didn't really do a good job of parodying the werewolf movies in general. I mean, they had a forest scene. That's something I forgot about. You know, towards the end, they had the forest confrontation, and they had the full moon and everything. But overall, it's just kind of an okay episode. And I thought all the acting was good. None of the acting in any of these is bad, by the way. It's just with the story or the way that people were used, chosen to be used. And there was basically one or two jokes in this whole episode, basically all centered around the Asian woman and her attractiveness. And she wasn't that good of a character, so I didn't really care. She wasn't even from any werewolf movies, so why even do it? What's your next one, Safi? What's your number? What number are you on?
10.
Okay, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is In Plain Fright, Season 5, Episode 11. Years ago, a boy named Johnny Ricketts fell 60 feet from a ride at the local Scarefest. Years later, Sean and Gus are aboard a ride in a scary house at the recently opened Scarefest. While Gus hides his eyes, Sean is looking all around and sees a man getting strangled. And this is really happening. It's not part of the ride. It's not fake robots or actors. This is a real thing.
Animatronics.
But nobody believes him. But they call the police and they do find the body. It is of the park president. Why was he murdered? Will more people get murdered in the episode? And do the murders have something to do with the kid falling from the ride decades ago? So that's what this story is about. And
why didn't you like it?
Well, I don't know. I just didn't care for it. I didn't think it was that funny, and I don't know. I just didn't like it that much. But there was I guess a positive thing to say about it was that I didn't really know who the murderer was until the very end.
Oh, you knew that guy who guesses weights was gonna be one of the killers.
No, I didn't.
Come on.
No, I didn't. And if I'm really good at predicting what's going to happen or who the murderer is. But if I can't figure it out until about the end, that's a good thing. At least that's one positive thing. But I just didn't care for the episode.
I ranked this episode a lot higher than you did. So.
Well, what's your number 10?
My number 10 was 100 Clues, and we already talked about that. The reason why I ranked it higher is because I like Clue, and because at least it had people from Clue. I mean, Tuesday the 17th. It had the main guy from the Garbage Pail Kids movie. It had him, but it didn't have anybody from the Friday the 13th movies. It might have had one person. But, I mean, come on. You have Kane Hodder. You have all the Jasons from all the different movies. You have that woman from the first one, and she's in fan films. She's constantly doing stuff. She could have been in an episode. I mean, come on. What's your number 9?
All right. Well, my number 9 is This Episode Sucks. Season 6, Episode 3. And when Marco first told me the name of this episode, I didn't believe him. Because I thought it was a really weird title, but
vampires?
Yeah, the title actually makes sense in a way because it's about vampires. So, the thing is, Lassie has a new girlfriend, but she may be a vampire. When Sean finds a stolen blood plasma packet from the blood bank in her freezer chest, Lassie has to put the cuffs on her. But hold on. One of her 3 roommates is her brother. He has a severe blood condition where he needs multiple infusions of O-negative blood. And that's a very rare blood type. Since his sister is in jail, is Lassie in danger because he possesses O-negative blood? Corey Feldman makes an appearance as a bartender in a vampire-loving club. A lot of laughs, and it was good to see Lassie get a girlfriend.
So you did not like this episode, am I right?
Right, I thought it was, it's one of those where I don't think it's totally
memorable,
bad, or totally good. It's kind of like in the middle. And since we've done 13, that's
unbelievable.
4 down
Sophie.
From the end.
Unbelievable. So we just want to make that clear because at a certain point, I mean, the next episode for me is an episode I really like. So anyways, this episode sucks ranks a lot higher for me.
Okay,
and
well,
so I'm just gonna move on.
What did you do as number 9?
My number 9 is Scary Sherry.
Okay.
Are you intrigued?
Well, I ranked that one
a lot higher.
A lot higher.
I knew it, Sophie. The reason why is because I don't like the villain in this episode. I think they're kind of a whiny little brat, and she just he or she just kind of spews off a lot of stuff about like stuff that you would already surmise nowadays. Like, you would already know.
Yeah.
They just kind of whine and like, these sorority girls are so bad. They're just so bad. You don't understand how terrible they are. And I'm just sick of hearing that kind of stuff. And I thought it was very funny though. It didn't have a lot of laughs, but it was funny and it was good. I really like the fact that they created a myth and it wasn't even true. But it's just not as high as all the other ones for me. So what's your number 8, Safi?
My number 8 is called Lassie Jerky, Season 7, Episode 3. And this was another weirdly titled episode, which I wasn't even sure if what I saw was real. And I had to make sure, and when I saw it, I was like, what? So, when it's, Lassie's considered a jerk sometimes because of the way he acts. He's very, full of himself, like he's better, stronger, tougher, and
That's not
and
why.
so I was thinking jerky was like a jerk.
Oh, okay.
And so this really actually means jerky like food.
Yeah.
So anyway, a couple of college students are in the woods hoping to film Bigfoot. They want to make a film for a contest, and they think they'll have a winning film if they find this Bigfoot in the woods. Sean and Gus join them. Gus accidentally falls in a pit trap and is surrounded by the bodies of 2 men and a woman at the bottom of the trap. Lassie and Juliet show up to check on Gus's abandoned car at the side of the road. It turns out that Bigfoot is really an ex-Army Ranger who has been off the grid for 10 years and wears the costume of Bigfoot as camouflage. So he'll fit in with the wildlife when he's hunting, and they'll just stand there and they won't do anything.
Why didn't you like this episode that much, Safi?
Well, just a minute. The bodies in the pit are dead Serbians, a dump site for people who have gone against the Serbian mob. There's a big shootout where several people are shot between the Serbians and the rest of the gang. Who will make it out alive? I wouldn't call this a Halloween episode, but I thought it was a good story and fun to watch.
I do, because it literally directly references found footage movies in the movie. In the show, they directly parody scenes from found footage horror movies in the show. So yes, it is a Halloween movie, everybody. It has Bigfoot, quote unquote. It has the Blair Witch all over it. And it shows exactly what's wrong with, quote, horror movies nowadays. And this is the one where I didn't think that it needed to have a celebrity cameo. And it didn't. Because found footage movies, it's basically an easy way for studios to make money. They just make this cheap piece of SHIT movie with a horrible script, stupid, unlikable characters like that couple. Did you honestly like either of them?
No.
One of them was like this stupid, horny girl, and the other one was like a dim-witted guy. They were so boring and stupid, and they showcase exactly what's wrong with horror nowadays. So I actually really love the episode, and it ranks a lot higher for me.
Well, I rank this as like a mid-range episode, and I agreed. I thought it was pretty good, and I said that too. But the thing is, I didn't like that couple, and
that girl.
The good thing that turned me off was every time she talked to a guy in the episode, they had to go back to the station at the end because these were Serbian mob people. They got in a gunfight with them. I mean, they had to talk to the police. They had to make a police report. And every guy she talked to, Sean, Gus, the guy who played Bigfoot, Lassie, I think Sean's father, every single guy, she had to make some sexual weird
And
remark.
You know why that is?
I didn't like that. That was stupid.
You have not seen a lot of found footage horror movies, but
I don't even know what that means.
It means there's footage that was shot by people who got killed or are missing, and the footage that they shot was, quote, found. And so you're discovering what happened before they got killed. And in these found footage movies, there's a lot of these dim-witted characters, like these female characters who are just, like, basically sex monsters.
Well, that's why I think that's realistic.
I
really don't. Unless she's a sex addict or something, I don't think people talk that. I don't think people act like that.
It's in these found footage horror movies. If you don't believe it, see, you haven't seen a lot, and probably any of them, but that's what they're like in them. They're either stupid, like the thing with the map, forgetting the map, throwing the map away. There was no map. They're idiots. They're mean. They're stupid. They're horrible characters. Because it has nothing to do with characters. So anyway, we need to end part 1 now, since we're at 26 minutes. And so...
Well, what was your number 8, Marco? I didn't hear that.
I'll reveal that next in part 2. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.